Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co., and this is Board Game Upgrades and Deluxifications. This is a monthly video I do on the channel that is sponsored by Top Shelf Gamer. I'll have a link to them down below, but effectively, Top Shelf Gamer, they sell inserts, they sell sleeves, they sell metal coins, some of the better metal coins, they sell deluxified resources, a bunch of variety of different things to upgrade your gaming experience. If you use the link down below, you'll first of all get, I believe, 20% off. I'll double check the number, but you get some percentage off. It's for the next few weeks or whatever it is, and additionally, it does give me a commission referral, so take that into account. It helps support the channel. I appreciate it very much. And with that, let's go ahead and dive into the video. We have 5 things to go over today. We got a Too Many Bones puzzle. We got the raw upgraded game, which is nice. We have a full display insert for Viticulture. We have the deluxe version of Bestiary of Sigillum over here, which is a game I almost debated not keeping when it showed up, but we'll talk about that more. And then we have CUBITOS, and if you're like, what's so upgraded about if you're like, what's so upgraded about CUBITOS, you can either jump to that relevant timestamp, or alternatively, just watch the video and enjoy and see. It's something fun. It's not particularly for CUBITOS. I like it. It's probably the coolest thing in this video. But with that said, let's start off with arguably the least cool. That's not true. It's not true. It's not that Too Many Bones is the least cool thing in this video. This is a wooden puzzle, a deluxe wooden puzzle that is genuinely in this shape. This has already been built. It's just been deconstructed so that I could build it again. I might do this on camera. I'm not confident, but I might do it on camera. We'll see. It depends if I've tried doing a puzzle once on camera before. The quality of that puzzle was not the best, so that was more of a frustrating experience, and I was like, I'm not doing it. Also, the lighting throws you off. The lighting you have on an on-camera situation compared to like just overhead lights that can really show you everything, it changes the way you approach things. I think this puzzle is doable on camera. But the reason this is less exciting is not because of, ooh, are these sticky things? What are these for? No, these are Desica pack thingy-majiggies. Never mind, I thought they're like sticky stuff. But the reason this puzzle is less exciting is I imagine you're not spending like $85 in a wooden Too Many Bones puzzle. Although the truth is, now that I say that again, there are definitely some of you that are spending $85 on a wooden Too Many Bones puzzle. This basically is a wooden Too Many Bones puzzle. I mean, this is literally just a random selection of pieces. This is a random selection of pieces I pulled out. There are, oh my gosh, these pieces are insane. So here's just a bunch of stuff over here. You're going to see some interesting shapes over here, but these are the shapes of the puzzle. Recognize that guy? Because that's a puzzle piece in your puzzle. This one over here, I'm not entirely sure what that is, but it's definitely something not traditional. And these are like thick wooden pieces over here. This is a completely wooden puzzle. It is absolutely like, it's premium with a caveat. It's premium with the caveat that because of the nature of it being so, well, wooden, there are smaller lines with the pieces. It has more of a push and pull to it. Still works really well, especially if you Mod Podge or any of that stuff. For me, I just kind of want to build it again. But all I have over here, because I didn't actually, again, I built it already, but I need to reassemble it. But this basically, it's an $85 puzzle. You can find this on Too Many Bones on Ship Theory Games website. It's a 20 by 20 puzzle when you're done, and it's in the shape of this. It's very cool. In the world of board game puzzles, of which I've done like maybe 4 or 5, this is easily the most satisfying one that I've done. Although I will say, fitting it back in the box and pushing it around a bit, this doesn't fit on like the way I want. I always feel like, you know, like really spread out the pieces properly, and I'm always wanting to like snap something. So the puzzle itself is great. The fitting it back in the box is always a little bit of a pain. It doesn't want to like fit perfectly as you go through it. I got it on for right now. There we go. It's on. But either way, that's the first thing. A Too Many Bones puzzle. A puzzle. They got this one from them when I was at that the Chip Theory, the Elder Scrolls weekend or whatnot. They have this, and it is very cool. Although again, it's an $85 puzzle. You should not be even considering it unless you're a hardcore Too Many Bones fan. I will say the coffee. They have coffee that I've highlighted in the past that I have not yet found a better coffee. Specifically their caramel and nutty blend or whatever it is. It's from Bones Coffee. Bones Coffee Company, that's who I think sources it. But their caramel nutty blend is the best coffee I have ever had in my life. I've tried finding replacements. I've tried finding the same flavor from other companies just because you get it cheaper, and I have not found better coffee. So that is something I will reluctantly have to budget into my coffee budget, I guess. I don't know. From there, we have Raw over here. This is the version from 20th Century Games. This is the Reina Knizia title, artwork by Ian O'Toole. This is the Referral edition that they launched over on GameFound, and this has gigantic, over-the-top bag for all your Raw tiles. You see, in this game over here, we can have chunky tiles left, right, and center, and like, there's some fun stuff in this game. Let's go show you some things. These over here are the chunky pieces you have for your Raw, calling out Raw in the auction. These are gigantic, thick pieces over here, and these are all your Raw sun tiles. I've had like, this is my 3rd version of Raw that I've got my hands on, and it is easily the best version. Not just the physical aesthetic aspect, not just the artwork aspect, but the tiles. The tiles are just so satisfying and so pleasing to have over here. These things over here, and again, they fit in the bag beautifully over here. These are your regular tiles in the game. These are gigantic. Look at these things. That's insane as far as like Every single tile has that level of thickness and premiumness. So this is the Referral edition. It's not the retail version of the game. And this feels like a version of Ra that I want to hold on to for a long time. And Ra is a game that's been in and out of my collection a few times because it's both amazing, but it's also a game that I've played a lot. And at a certain point, sometimes when you play a game enough, you're like, do you really need that game? Do you want to continue diving into it? Is it giving you a good enough experience? And Ra's always a good experience. How good of an experience is, well, I mean, it's a good experience. It's a good game. It's the ideal auction game. The only auction game I prefer over it is actually Cyclades, because Cyclades has a lot more going on as far as the general mechanics of the game, and it's more area control. But that is possibly my favorite auction experience from any game. We got over here, this tile over here. But yeah, Cyclades is possibly my favorite auction game ever, but it's really more of an area control game with an auction mechanic in it. Now, we're not doing some of the stuff over here. We got some more bags. We have your player boards over here. I'm going to go ahead and show you these. This is, let's go ahead and pull these out over here. Give me a second. Over here, we got our player boards. These situations, this is like your raw auction board. They'll go on the table, whatnot. And then you have your player boards over here where you can store your tiles, but also tracking the tiles that stay round to round versus the tiles that leave round to round. This is functional, by the way. This is more than just a quality piece of, well, woodwork and all that stuff. It's the most functional version of raw that I've ever had because of the way they have you tracking everything. Then we have here the tracker for the raw tiles. Again, big, hefty, chunky tracker. It's going to go on the track over here, tracking where the tiles are. And then lastly, we have this giant first player raw marker. This, again, is just completely over the top. Like, this is a giant wooden block. That's all it is. It's a giant, look at my hand. Look at my hand. Look at the block. Back to my hand. Look at me. What am I? I'm a fish. I'm a sea. If you don't understand what I'm doing, some people will get that. Either way, this is a giant version of raw, but we're not done yet because we also have, I don't need the bag. I don't need the bag. This can survive on its own just fine in there. But we do need these tiles back over here. We're going to put everything back in, but I'm not done yet because I haven't shown you the metal coins for this game. Again, this is, if you like raw, I do believe this is the version to seek out. I think it is the best version of the game, just in terms of functionality, in terms of the visual aesthetic, although obviously that's a matter of opinion. But in terms of, I don't think you can argue that component quality is the best version of the game. I would be hard-pressed. I think I'd be very surprised by the person who thinks that this is not the most functional version of the game because of what they did with the player boards. I can totally see someone saying, hey, you know what? The artwork's not to my taste. In fact, I know there were people doing the crowdfunding campaign who were like, no, it feels like a color throw-up situation. Like, it just feels like it's not to my taste. And I get that. Anything that's not to your taste, I'm a big supporter of don't get it. If it doesn't visually call to you, don't get it. But I think it is the most functional, and I think it is, well, just the chunkiest components. But we're not done yet, because we have these bags full of metal things over here, the metal bits that you're going to have in the game. These feel solid. These are very, very solid feeling, because they are solid. Just points. Look at these things. And they're like two-tone, too. Look at the color. We have the silver side, we have the gold side, two-tone pieces over here, just showing you the various, monetary amounts over here. We have 5, 10s, 1s, and 2s, and these just have some solid heft to it. This is, if you have this version of raw, you know what I'm talking about. This is a very, very solid version of raw. It is, these alone are incredibly cool. Like, I have some Egyptian coins. They're not being used for this game because this game has its Egyptian coins just fine. This is raw. This is raw from 20th Century Games, the Referral edition. I have not seen the retail edition of this game, so I cannot comment on how different it is in different ways. But I think if you like raw, this is something that is worth considering trying to track down. It is very cool. It is very premium. It feels very worth it. From there we have Viticulture. This specifically is a folded space insert. Now, as mentioned already, that Top Shelf Gamer is the sponsor of our Deluxification videos. And to that end, the folded space insert, you should be able to get this from them. They have a lot of folded space inserts. They don't necessarily have all of them, so sometimes you have to go to folded space directly or other sites. But they generally have a lot of folded space inserts. And over here, we're going to see how easy this is to actually get out because I have a bunch of things going on in here. But we have these over here. Let's pull out the boards. So I got the first board out. We're going to get our second board out. Let's pull this out. It's a bit of a tight squeeze as you go through this over here, but you'll see this is what we have over here. We have our little player sideboards off to the side, which will come out in a second. Let's pull this out first over here. These are your individual player boards that are shuffle in there. Not shuffle, that are in there. We have our sideboards over here. These are your player sideboards tucked out to the side. And then we have your general component holders that are just in here. So we have your cards organized here. I have not sleeved the solo cards, but everything else is sleeved and fits. And it's not that it doesn't have space for the sleeved solo cards. I just don't play this game solo, so I haven't bothered to sleeve the solo cards. We have your mamas and your papas over here on this side pocket there. Then we have in here, we have our wine beads and a few tokens in this middle area here. We have all the types of cards here. Some of the expansion cards I have not yet sleeved, which is why you see them broken up, but you can fit all the cards in there sleeved or not. Then you have your money tray. Now this is one where I'm a drop worried in the money tray because this is strictly speaking meant to be holding the cardboard token money. And I have the metal money in here, the nice metal money from Stonemaier Games in this tray. It still works. You're able to put a few 5s off to the side to store them. In the regular version, regular cardboard tokens, you have the 5s and the fits. Over here, I have a bit of a smorgasbord in the middle, and then 5 separate off to the corners, but it does work functionally. And then, of course, you have your individual player trays down here with 6 different player options and colors for you to pick from and choose from as you go through this. But this basically just functionally holds everything. To be clear, when I say everything, I mean this holds Viticulture Essential Edition. It holds the Tuscany expansion, the Essential Tuscany expansion. It holds the Into the Rhine and the More Visitors, like not more visitors, like the more visitors. I think it holds like whatever it is. It holds the main big expansion and it holds the 2 small box expansions. Now it does not hold Viticulture World. So if you're expecting this to hold, and this is the part where it's a little tight by the way. So when I'm putting these in, I often find I have to do a little bit of pushing, and then once I do, everything's all golden. But getting these boards in for the first time, that requires a drop of pushing. But it does not hold Viticulture World, which I assume you'd expect it not to. But in case you're trying to figure out how to make all that store together, that you're going to have to figure out on your own. Now there is a drop of lid lift. Trying to fit this on the box with the insert, you can see over here, maybe you can see a drop of lid lift over here. So like maybe a centimeter or 2 of lid lift. I have it on the shelf just fine and it does the job, but just make sure you are fine with that lid lift. It's a hefty box. Some boxes are not made to withstand lid lift because it just starts putting pressure onto a box that's already not the best quality, but this is a solid quality box, and so it does just fine. Then we have Bestiary of Sigillum over here. This, like Ra, is another deluxified game over here. This is the Kickstarter version of the game, the deluxe version, game found version of the game. That over here we got our collector's edition of Bestiary of Sigillum, etc., Crowd D, etc. Moving on, we have our trays over here. Now this is the one where the last time I had my hands on this one, I had the prototype. And the prototype had some wooden insert that was both good, but also not the greatest. This is plastic instead of wooden, but it's far, far more functional than what they had. You can check out my original review video to get a better sense of that. But this is a game where I got it, and this happens to me at times. It's the nature of covering so many games, where sometimes I pledge for a game, or I cover a game, I get a game, and then when it shows up, I'm like, yes, I liked it. I did. I liked this game a lot. I believe I gave it a 4 to 5. But also, will I play it? Those are 2 different things, because Bestiary of Sigillum is a game that it's a very tactical, head-to-head game that kind of reminded me a bit of Hoplomachus if it were a bit more of a head-to-head experience. Yes, Hoplomachus can be a head-to-head experience. It's been a while since I played it that way, so I don't remember how it feels. But Bestiary of Sigillum over here, it felt like a very tactical head-to-head experience as you control various people on the map. You're going to have this, let's try to show you over here. You're going to have your tracker over here that goes to the side. You're going to have your maps where you can pick any one of a bunch of different maps over here. And all of these, by the way, are double-sided. This one looks beautiful. I don't even want to go double-sided. We're just going to go with this one right now because it's beautiful. We're going to put that down over here. We're playing with that mat now. Then you have your cards over here. When we're going to have our various tokens where you're going to be able to take this tray over here and you're going to be able to reach into here and pull out the hero you're fighting with. And you're going to have 3 heroes on a team. Maybe I pick this guy over here, and this guy comes with 1, 2, 3 tokens underneath him, and that. And for the other team, we'll pick this guy, 1, 2, 3 tokens, and it's supposed to be a 3 versus 3. I just want to showcase how it works here. And this guy's going to go in here, so he feels like a bit more impact. And then this guy's going to go over here. And then you have your specific tokens that you're playing with as well. And on the back of them, it shows you the number. On the back of the hero as well, it shows you the number of that hero, so you can mess with their tokens. In fact, I actually took the wrong tokens. These will go over here. These will go over here. You have your individual player cards. You have some of our status effect tokens as well in this tray. These over here, it's worth noting, some tokens I have stored underneath tokens because they don't fit otherwise. Like they have too many of certain types. So just the extras are underneath other tokens. I don't think it'll be a problem, but I can't say that I've played it enough yet to see if it will or won't be. We have our towers over here. Let's grab our towers and throw those down the board, just, wherever. And then over here, these are actually supposed to be over here. I don't know why I'm putting them there. These should be over here. This will track your order of play and operations. And then you have all the various characters as far as just a ton of characters in the game, because there are 34 different characters, plus these various halls and fortresses and strongholds, but 36 different characters. I apologize. It's a 6x6 grid, and each of them has their own unique abilities as far as how they operate. And so this is a 2-player head-to-head skirmish game where you select and create a team of characters from these 36 characters. They all give you different types of abilities, and when you can use those abilities, and when they go down the timer track to be able to utilize again. As you use abilities, they're going to disappear until it comes back to you and you can use them again. And so you're playing a tactical skirmish game on a tiny little grid with a very clean rule set. I really enjoyed this game, but it is a two-player game, and this style of game in two-player games doesn't necessarily get played as much. My biggest concern with this style of game, and I've said this before, is as much as I very much enjoyed this game, I thought it was excellent and well done, the problem you have with it is the fact that this style, and by the way, don't forget the numbers over here, so we have this 34, we just look at our 34, we look at our tokens, we stack them up nicely, put the tokens down over here, and put this on top of it, and you're good to go. Same with this 27 over here, we're going to put these 27 back into the box, and then pop this out, and good to go. And you have 3 of these because there are 3 hero teams. The problem I had with Bestiary of Sigillum is the problem I have with all these two-player games in general, the genre of games like this, which is, I like them, but they don't necessarily see play enough because you have to kind of know the other characters. Like, this is the kind of game where if I know your team and you don't know my team, I'm going to stomp you. I'm just going to win the game because I know what your characters do and I know how to react to them. And so I find these games favor the person who plays them the most, which in my group inevitably always becomes me. And so I both like the game and recommend the game, and then when it showed up I was like, do I bother keeping it? Do I just try to sell or trade it? What do I do? And that's the part where I looked over at this other thing I'm about to show you, which is, let's go and show you this. And you may already know about this, especially if you back the game. But again, strong tactical game, and then this over here, we have the rulebook. And then we have Distant Lands over here, which is going to give you an entire campaign to go through. So it gives you Vinctus's campaign to go through. And then that's not all. When you're done with that, we have Ballistris's campaign over here. Just more missions to go through, more little puzzles to work your way through. And then when you're done with that, we also have the Manus's campaign. So we have a ton of little campaigns as far as these little challenges and puzzles to go through, which very much has me significantly more interested. And when you're done with that, we have the dual campaign to go through. If you want to play a two-player campaign situation over here, two-player puzzles to go through, that's what you'll have over here. So we have a ton of content that is also specifically solo-driven content, which has me so much more interested in this game. Not because I don't think the two-player is good. I think the two-player is excellent. I just find that there's only so many games in my collection I have that I'll realistically play if in that genre of, well, that type of game. So like for me, I already have Super Fantasy Brawl, and I have God Tier, and I have Rum and Bones, and I have games like that where I already have too many characters to know or memorize, that for something like this, I both wanted it and I was ready to get rid of it. And then I was looking at the solo campaigns and I was like, never mind, I'm going to hold on to you for now because I want to puzzle through that. And then lastly, we have CUBITOS, which I'm not even going to open. And if you're like, Alex, why are you not opening it? Well, the answer as to why I'm not opening it is because I'm not here to show you CUBITOS. I'm here to show you this tray from Modern Meeple. This tray over here, which doesn't rotate. I can't hold it in my hand and rotate it. You'll see in a second. This over here is basically CUBITOS on this tray. And you'll see it over here on the top camera over here. This rotates very nicely as far as giving you all the CUBITOS cards. So like right now over here, you can see, pretending we're playing CUBITOS right now, how functional and useful is this? All the dice, all the cards, everything available, so you can rotate around. And this doesn't just work for your CUBITOS, although before we talk about that, we'll talk about the fact that we do have an additional CUBITOS deck over here because it doesn't have all the cards you need. This does have matching colors for everything you see here. We have all those colors. We're just missing a white one. Now, I do have these extra trays over here as far as extra things you can proxy in to give you a sense of other types of component holders you can put into here, because you could just treat this as a regular 7-compartment component holder. You could put things for cards and stuff in here. You could have other stuff you put in. These like come straight out over here. So you can see, you can proxy that in just fine. And boom, there you go. You've changed your component holder. And so you could have an additional white tray. Actually, I don't know if they make white trays. I hope they make white trays because that would make sense because of this deck over here. I'll also say that if you've been following CUBITOS, they announced the expansion. They just had the crowdfunding campaign for the expansion, and they have 2 new sets. So at this point, this is not nearly enough to satisfy your CUBITOS needs. It is still very cool, but more importantly, you can also use it for Quacks of Quedlinburg. Although again, check the expansions you have, check the color combinations. It will work. This works well as well for having your little tokens in these trays, and then the cards as well. Quacks of Quedlinburg. And you could have it chosen, like right now I have it set up as a Rondell Lazy Susan. You could in theory have all the cards facing sort of the same direction. You'd have to change it a bit, and not totally the same direction, but I could like rotate these a bit like this, and then rotate the center one so it's like this. I'll show you in a second. So right about now, if you wanted these on the table in a way that you can still rotate a bit while still seeing things, like depending on your table setup, you can have this over here so you're only rotating like this as opposed to anything else. It can work with whatever table setup you need, and then of course it can just be a regular Lazy Susan component holder. This is from the company Modern Meeple. I'll have a link to them down below and links to everything throughout this video. And as usual, nothing here is sponsored except for Top Shelf Gamer sponsoring the video. I'll tell you whenever anything is sponsored in any way, shape, or form, and Top Shelf Gamer sponsors these videos. Everything else here, these things might be given to me for free, take that into account, but nothing's paid over here. This is a very cool thing, and that's the part where I can tell you it's also not cheap. They have a few things. In particular, one of the things I think is very, very cool, their Dice Throne trays for Dice Throne are incredibly premium and will enhance your Dice Throne experience. I have no doubt whatsoever. They are very, very, very cool. Also, the things they make aren't cheap. They are deluxe components. The quality, I don't even know what the material this is, but it's very, very fancy feeling, and it just, again, spins nicely. I love the sound every single time. Playing with a variety of games is fun. For me, it is very specific to, like, again, Quacks of Quedlinburg or Cubitos, unless you start using it as general component holders, although I'm sure you can figure out what in your collection would benefit from this game as well. And with that, that is your board game upgrades and Deluxifications video. We have Bestiary of Sigillum over here, a deluxe game. We have Raw, a deluxe game. We have a Chimney Bones puzzle. We have a Viticulture folded space insert, and then we have a general modern Meeple component tray that also doubles as a very useful, but not 100% useful, tray for Quacks of Quedlinburg and Cubitos. And with that, until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, I hope you have a good one.